Jews were amongst the first European pioneers to settle on the west coast of the United States during the 1850s. How they transformed a sleepy backwater into the jewel of the Pacific and how San Francisco changed them in its turn is the theme of a new documentary called American Jerusalem.
This is the story of a chance encounter between an ancient people and a newborn city, and how the two would come to shape one another's destinies.
San Francisco sprang to life in the gold rush of the 1840s and 50s. A once small village was deluged with fortune seekers from all over the world. Jews came to this land of opportunity from Bavaria to escape poverty and discrimination. Barred from other professions, many of them were traders and peddlers. In California, Jews didn't stand out as an ethnic group like they did in Europe. They soon realized that selling goods to miners could be more lucrative than panning for gold itself. With no anti-Semitic laws holding them back, their businesses flourished.
The Jews were among those who built San Francisco. There weren't the barriers here, so from the very beginning, the Jews were insiders in San Francisco.
They constructed a magnificent new synagogue in 1866, Temple Emmanuel.
That temple said, "We have arrived and we are part of this city and will always remain so, a major part, a leading part of it."
But many of the pioneers didn't worship at synagogue. Instead, the diversity and secularism of San Francisco allowed them to redefine what it meant to be Jewish.
San Francisco represents the evolution very much of Reform Judaism. They might have given up orthodoxy and might have given up a sense of traditional practice, but there was an audacious sense of how do you practice Judaism in a new way while still retaining a sense of tradition.
The documentary profiles some Jews who embraced new identities, like Loeb Strauss, a Bavarian dry goods salesman who took American citizenship and changed his first name. Levi Strauss went on to spearhead the success of the world's best-selling brand of jeans. Financier Isaiah Hellman made a vast fortune at Wells Fargo, now a global bank. His philanthropy helped San Francisco recover after the devastating 1906 earthquake. Jews' enduring love for their West Coast home, which welcomed and accepted them in return, is reflected in the documentary's title, American Jerusalem.
There's many descendants, pioneer descendants in the Bay Area now. They've stayed. And they told us that in the 1800s, when during the Passover Seder, when you say next year in Jerusalem, instead their forebears would say next year in San Francisco. So the Jews here knew they had something good going.
From the DeYoung Museum of Art to the Haas School of Business at the University of California, many Bay Area buildings still bear the name of those early pioneers. A large part of the funding for the documentary came from their descendants, members of the nearly 500,000-strong local Jewish community. They also provided many of the archive images, bringing the story of hope and prosperity to life. American Jewish history has tended to focus on East Coast Jewry. American Jerusalem aims to flesh out that historical record by giving voice to the West Coast pioneers who created a Jewish community that remains unique in the modern day. Rebecca Bowering, Jewish News 1, San Francisco.